Hiya.
Thank you for joining us today. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes, sure. My name's Nasser from Business Pulse. It's a business advisory group and an investment group, primarily helping small business owners, looking at their financial structures, their overall financial position, and how that can be leveraged to create growth for the business. Obviously, given today's currency, it's all about survival, looking and being signposted for the relevant grants that are available, as well as the loans and also funding that's external to those loans. So to give business owners the option of weighing up what's best for them in the current situation, and obviously hopefully springboarding them out of the current hiatus we're in.
Yes, it's been a very difficult time. So I know there's changes coming up to the furloughing at the moment. So what's happening with that moving forwards?
Well, you've got the furloughing situation where furlough's been agreed to continue to the end of July, 31st of July, but after that, the Chancellor's already signalled that he wishes companies to start putting their hands in the pockets, look at the contribution of 20%, but more importantly, pension contributions and NI contributions, which will obviously impact the amount of money that these firms have got, and also whether they're going to look at maintaining their two costly bases, really, accommodation costs and their staff costs. So I suspect a lot of business owners will start to be reviewing their cost base in those two areas, importantly, quite closely now.
So what support's available for business owners at the moment? What could they apply for or look to get help from?
Yeah, okay. So if we look at the tranches that are available at the moment, we'll see the grants that were available for retail, and obviously those are paying their business rates. They qualified in two particular areas of 10,000 and 25,000. Now that process went into play in April, and they were made publicly aware, and those owners should have been making those applications or being notified by the local authorities that they qualify within the rateable values that the local authorities capped at.
So can they still apply for those at the moment, or have those closed now?
For those have closed, but I think they can still get back in contact to the local authority just to see whether there's any flexibility there, but from what I understand, those are closed, and I still think a lot of local authorities are keen to help businesses. I think that's a key message, that if there's grant funding there, the local authorities are keen to help. So I'd implore all business owners to get in contact with the local authority and explore what's available. Now today, certainly in the Horsham area, and last week in some certain local authorities, the discretionary grant fund has been publicised. So again, those who have fallen through the cracks of having their rateable values not being responsible for, so people who got shared accommodation as an example, or market traders, they can apply for a discretionary grant. Now I think the key word is discretionary. So you apply online, you provide the information that the local authority requires, nothing more, nothing less. That's really important, and you make it quite clear what impact COVID-19 has had on your business and why it's affected your business from the time that lockdown occurred. Very important also to demonstrate that you were in business prior to the 11th of March 2020. So clear questions that are being asked, and you've got to give clear answers, especially on the discretionary grant, because it is discretionary. It's a smaller pot that's available, I think for Horsham in the region of £1.3 million, and of course that's got to be spread over a number of people that believe that they qualify.
Yes, I think I've heard of quite a few people falling through the gaps. So I think they'll be very keen to apply for this, and that's a great bit of advice, being very clear about how your business has suffered and that you were in business prior as well, to make that very clear.
And I think it's important that also with grant funding, there are a number of websites out there, and I can certainly publicise them through the support group, that have been set up to particularly help businesses. So the National Lottery have set up a community support grant fund.
Okay.
Barclays Bank have a support grant fund, as well as Sport England with the community grant fund, and obviously, sports clubs in particular have been hard hit by that. And I urge those managers or owners of those to research those. There's a good website on the West Sussex County Council website of where there's other types of grant funding, the future funds grant funding. So do try and explore that. I'm more than happy to work with you to publish all those grant links for people to access.
So it sounds like there are a few more options out there than there were initially.
In the grant funding, yes, but they're very difficult to find. So what I've started to do is collate all that information and start pushing those out. So again, through the business support group, I'm more than happy to collate those grants in that tranche so people know that they're grants and they can access them and see if they qualify. That
would be really useful. Yeah. Now, is there anybody who's still falling through gaps that needs more support? Yeah,
so really what you then look into is the loan structures that have been put in place. So again, there's probably a number of routes you can go through, but the clear ones that you want to look at is the first one, which is the bounce back loans. Being offered by accredited banks from the British Banking Association for fundamental businesses such as sole traders, small business owners who are seeking loans between £2,000 to £49,999. Okay, and I urge people to look at those very, very carefully for the bounce back loans. The key aspect is it's a loan.
Yes.
But the important thing in terms of creating business liquidity and maybe enabling someone to springboard out of the hibernation that they're in at the moment is that there's no interest to be paid, there's no capital repayments to be paid,
right.
And repayments do not commence until 12 months after you've taken up the loan.
So it gives people a chance to get back up and running and find their feet again.
Absolutely.
Before they need to start their repayments.
But it's also very important that a bounce back loan is used in the correct way. Again, critical questions are asked. It's a simple 10, 12 questions to be answered, but it has to be related to the fact that your business has been affected by COVID-19, that the bounce back loan is being used for you to survive through this particular period and for you to look at springboarding yourself. And it's important that business owners use that fund, if they get it, in an intelligent way, so they can start to look at how they're going to reposition themselves in the market, maybe change some offerings that they have, products or services, but also look at how they utilise that funding in that first year. Because if they can make money from that money, then when it comes to maybe starting the repayments or paying the loan in whole, because there's no repayment clause, penalty clause in there, then they'll be in a stronger position to do so. And the key thing with a bounce back loan is that there's no personal guarantee. That is 100% underwritten by central government through the British Banking Association.
Okay, so some really useful top tips there for people looking at bounce back loans. That's fantastic. So is there anything else people need to consider?
So if you're looking then beyond 50,000,
yes.
What they call CBILS, which is a great 40 Towers one, isn't it?
Yes.
But it's the business interruption loan, basically. Right. Much harder to get over the line. Again, accredited banks I can publish through the support group. A more complex process.
Yes.
So between 50,000 and 249,999, there's no personal guarantee for that loan.
Right.
However, the complexity is slightly different. So you have to prove a number of things, that your business is robust and profitable, that you can provide good, robust 3 years sets of accounts, declare personal assets and liabilities for all directors, not just the main director shareholder, but also how COVID-19 has impacted your business.
Of course.
And why you need that particular set of funds to leverage yourself out of the position you're in. And also a real clear cash flow forecast. of how you're going to utilise that funds and how that fund's going to be taken going forward. And you can see there the massive difference between the bounce back loans and the complexity for the business interruption loans. Now, after the £500,000 mark, you can still apply up to, I think it's quite a large set of zeros on the end in terms of millions. I can't quite remember the exact amount, but anything after £500,000, then you're really looking at personal guarantees and real in-depth questions being answered by the banks as to what you're going to be utilising those funds for and how you do it, in the same way if you were applying for under £500,000 to 50,000. So those who require large-scale cash injections, be prepared for a long wait. There's still quite a queue in terms of the processing. Be prepared to answer a series of questions. They may be irritating, but the government is only guaranteeing 80%. The bank still has a liability of 20%, hence why they're taking that stance. If you think in the region of 2 to 50,000 is going to help you, then seriously consider the bounce back loan. But do remember that it's 25% of your declared turnover in that calendar year.
Yes. Okay, that's lovely. So we can put some resources in the group for people
so
that they can explore and find out more. What would be your top 3 tips for people moving forward?
I think if I just go on to the last one for the self-employed, and I think unfortunately the self-employed have not been given a rough time, they've been given a very rough time, and I think the self-employed income support grants that finally got paid out, I think it was a few weeks ago, again is based on your self-assessment form, but based on the profitability of your self-employment business, and over the last 3 years, up to a maximum of 80%. So please, people have to bear that in mind. There is a caveat of saying you can get to a maximum cap of 7,500. But if you work with a good bookkeeper and accountant, you've also got to bear in mind that your declared profitability could mean that you won't get as much as you initially thought going forward. Now that's been extended, which is good news.
That is good news.
And I think come middle of July, people should start to get information about when they can apply for that. And I think from reading the Chancellor's briefing, it's going to be in August that lump sum would be paid. I'll be surprised if he extends it any further. But you never know. Furlough, after all, is extended until 31st of October.
So we might see movement there, but I don't think it's guaranteed.
No, and I think the final aspect of business funding that's available outside the grants and the government initiatives is whether business owners want to look at private funding, private equity. Again, friends and families are good means as well. There's a good crowdfunding site which I'll publish on the business support group that have waived their fees and are really helping to promote crowdfunding for specific businesses that they may need some cash to go through that. So there are different avenues, and my expertise is raising capital outside of the normal banking as well. So there are some private funders out there that are looking to invest, as well as funders that will be doing debt funding that may well be a bit more expensive, but still are available for applications to be made.
And I think that's quite good to hear that there is still investors looking to invest at the moment, which is quite heartening for some business owners. Yeah, absolutely. But always bear in mind that with the investors market, now is a really good time to offer less but get more out of someone's company. And so that's the caveat and the playoff that you always have to bear in mind. Lovely, thank you. So what would be your 3 top tips for business owners moving forwards?
Right, so obviously through the very first closure side of things, the panic. So I think really the very first tip is now to consolidate where you are, get a firm idea of your business plan, your financial and your fiscal management plan, if you need to make people redundant, make that quite clear to the people that you need to have those discussions and make sure you've got good HR in place. So really evaluate your costs and look at how you've pivoted your business and changed your business to maximise the margins that you've got.
Yes.
I think the second phrase then is to research fully that you've been able to access all grant funding that's available to you. Also to access the relevant business loans funding that's available to you, and that you've sought good advice either through a business advisor or your accountant, that you have done everything in your terms of your due diligence of what you can do and access through your business financial structure.
Yes.
And I think the third and critical thing is that as we start to emerge out of this hibernation, is to look at creating a real robust but work in progress business plan matched along with a financial plan. So to manage your cash flow, look at your cash flow forecast, but look at the actual market and how that's changed, and whether you're offering services and products that are relevant today and going tomorrow,
yes, that
may no longer be relevant as they were only 3 or 4 months ago.
So it sounds like research and planning is absolutely key moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's going to be absolutely key. But also, the key thing as well is about collaboration and partnerships. You know, small businesses often work in silos, just like big businesses. But I think, you know, organisations and groups such as this, local networks, is a great opportunity for business owners to help each other collaborate, signpost to each other to particular initiatives, maybe financial initiatives. And I think the most important thing for any business owner is to make sure they're not alone, and that there's help out there, and they should reach out for that.
I think that's a really good message for people. Thank you very much, Naz. That's been really useful.
My pleasure. Thank you.